20 plus hours into my Fire Emblem Engage experience on hard/classic mode, and I am absolutely addicted. I constantly play this game in my free time whenever I can, and I think I understand exactly why I'm playing this game and I'm enjoying this game probably more than any other Fire Emblem game that I've ever played. Now, is it the best Fire Emblem game that I've ever played overall objectively? Probably not, but is it the best game when it comes to what matters most in Fire Emblem? To me, at least, with playability, yes, I think that it might be there. Now, I understand the issues when it comes to the story, when it comes to some of the characters, and when it comes to some of the social elements. All of that is completely valid, especially if you play Fire Emblem on the easier modes or the casual mode, or maybe you just like to have talking in your games. Maybe you're more of a Persona fan. I completely get that. And even with some of the story stuff in terms of the campiness or some of the like cliche anime type stuff, even though that's been in Fire Emblem before, completely get all of that. But at the end of the day, this is PlayerEssence. And what that means is that means the essence of gaming and what makes that so strong and powerful. And to me, the core meat and potatoes is always going to be the gameplay. And honestly, I love that about this game. The gameplay is so solid and so good and so much fun. I'm like, goodness gracious, some of these other things that I feel that should have been in there, I can literally just bypass them because I'm having so much fun playing the game. And even when you look at it, I'm going through the story, and honestly, no spoilers, guys. Please don't spoil it for anybody there. But it's not as bad as people are trying to make it out to be. At least I'm having fun with a singular path, kind of campy. You know, we know who the good and the bad is, and kind of going through with the story. It seems simple enough for me. Obviously, it's a very big change of departure from something like Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I completely understand how it's not as dynamic and how it's not as good, and when it comes to certain characters and stuff like that, completely understand that. But once again, the gameplay is so solid here, and the experience, like graphically, sound quality wise, so good. It's pulling me into it more so than probably any other Fire Emblem game, because I've already put 20 plus hours into it. Now, graphically and sound quality wise, this is easily the best that Fire Emblem has ever been, and I think that it does help out when it comes to pulling me in and why I'm addicted. I'm just looking at the fonts, the UIs, the navigation, the new animations. I talked about this via Twitter the other day, where I said, look at how cool this animation is from just a direction wise, just from a graphics wise and sound quality wise. Like, look how awesome it is. I'm gonna play it for you guys real quick.
I won't falter! I cannot afford to lose.
This is the type of stuff that really just shines in Fire Emblem Engage. It's not just that animation, but a lot of the emblem ring animations, a lot of the little touches here and there. Now, it's not perfect graphically, and I don't expect any Fire Emblem game to ever be perfect graphically or from a sound design wise, but this by far is the best that we've gotten. And if you go from 2012 or so, when Fire Emblem Awakening was out, you go from that with not having feet all the way to this here in 2023. I think that it's been a spectacular turnaround for this franchise, not just sales wise, but also what they've put into it. 30 years of Fire Emblem adapting when it comes to all the different characters that are in the game, from the original Hero King, Marth, all the way up until Byleth, adapting different art from each era. We're talking 80s, 90s, 2000s plus, and putting that all into one game and actually making it look coherent and everything probably wasn't an easy task. So I tip my hat off to the Fire Emblem Engage team, Intelligent Systems, what they were able to do from all aspects of designing this game, graphically, art direction wise, and sound quality as well. But like I alluded to before, combat wise, this is as solid as Fire Emblem has ever been fundamentally. And I think that based on how you play this game, based on what you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it. This is a strategy RPG. So what does that mean? It's strategy, it's tactics, it's something to where you have to think ahead, almost like anime chess, as some people has described it. And the more factors and the more things you put in front of yourself in order to outsmart or out-strategize your enemy on the battlefield, the greater reward and the greater feeling you're going to have. So what do I mean by that? Someone who maybe plays the game on casual and also on normal might not get as great of a feeling beating a really difficult map where you potentially lose people, or you can lose people, and you're just going through and playing it and looking for the reward of the story, or that story reward isn't quite as good as past games for some people. So it can get you a different feeling on the combat as somebody like myself who's playing on hard and classic, where every single move is going to be very, very particular. You've got to make sure that you don't want to lose any of your units at all. So you play a certain type of way, so the reward or the benefit is not only getting past that point, but also out strategizing on a harder difficulty. And I think that strategy RPGs in particular give such a great reward with that. You feel even better when it's strategy RPGs. So I completely understand, of course, people can play these games at any difficulty level they want to and everything, but I feel in particular with this Fire Emblem game, considering how incredible the combat is, that's what's making me more addicted to the gameplay. You add in all of the other things that they've done here with the emblem rings, and also with the strategy layered on top of that, with the upgrading, also with the inventory, with the classic Fire Emblem stuff, with like the armor breakers, and of course the arrows and the weapon triangle coming back. I think that that's what really wraps up this Fire Emblem game and makes it just where I can't put it down, where every single bit of free time I have goes into it. The weapon triangle is vital here, guys, and some of the different stuff that you can do with the classes and with upgrading, which I won't ruin for those who haven't gotten there yet since the game is fairly new, but this is the best to me that it's been, and fundamentally kind of smokes Three Houses on many different aspects, especially on the combat and mechanics wise. It's similar in setup and what they do, but the depth here, how they've done it, not necessarily because Fire Emblem Three Houses doesn't have depth or some of the past ones don't have that, but how they've set it up here with the combat, weapon triangle, and with other things is just incredible. It makes me just want to keep on playing. A perfect example of this is that I don't actually have the footage of when I played it, but the DLC, if you have that, or if you love the combat, if you haven't gotten that, please make sure you check that out. Go there as soon as it's available. Go there and check it out. That map right there just solidified it to me. It was brutal, but it was also incredibly fun to go through and play that map and to find out what Tiki was doing there and everything. The strategy that you have to imply to not get smoked there by never-ending enemies coming up, and also side enemies on the temple trying to snipe you and other different things was great. It really truly made me get in tune with the combat, and other Fire Emblem games have done that, and I know that they've done it very well, but I think that you factor in all of the updates to the UI and all the different updates to the in-depth leveling and stuff that you can do in the Somniel, combined with that superb Fire Emblem gameplay. To me, it just elevates it to a level to where I think I put about maybe 4 hours plus into that map, because I got smoked for the first 2 hours and I had to restart because I lost someone. Once again, the advantage or disadvantage, but advantage in this situation for me, playing with the classic mode, where anytime that you lose a unit, they're done. So you play a certain type of way. You've got to play with haste, but you also have to play with caution as well. So I love that about Fire Emblem, and it's really making this game super addictive. And you combine that with the exploration after you're done with the battle, the adopting of the pets, the investment funding, the achievements, all these things tie into each other. And really, I just can't get enough of it. Honestly, it's pretty freaking cool. But I also wanted to mention another thing here with some of the extra stuff and why I think that I'll probably be playing this Fire Emblem game more and longer than any other Fire Emblem game before, and that is the online stuff. Now, I wasn't sure exactly how this was going to work out, but I did take some time the other day to really go through the online and what it can do, and I think that this is great. It really sets up a Fire Emblem game that you can continue playing forever at this point. It sets it up for the fans, the community features. You have your little card that you have that you can customize, put stamps, different stuff you can exchange with your friends or other people online. These type of things kind of just shows that yes, this was an anniversary game. It was a game to kind of just celebrate everything with Fire Emblem and what the series has been over the past 30 years. So I love the fact that you can go in, your friends can design maps, you can go there and play those, earn some rewards, but also the online relay, kind of like co-op that you have there, is pretty cool what they've been able to do with that. And as I play the game, and probably once I'm done beating the game on the first playthrough, this is something that I'm going to play more so I can get those orbs and actually use that to upgrade my emblem weapons. So it's set up for more playthroughs. It's set up for you to play even past after you beat the game, and if you want to go through and do another run and everything. I think that the bond system and how they've set that up also sets up multiple playthroughs and sets up just playing this game over and over. And with how good the combat is, I think that, yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing that because I can't get enough. Even though I'm 20 plus hours in, I'm still nowhere near beating the game when it comes down to it. I think I'm past chapter 7 or 8 or something like that. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head from getting drummed from those Tiki reimaginations for a bit. But I'm still absolutely enjoying it so much and what they've set up here for the short term with the DLC and also for the long term with the online play and some of the community features in there. The pared back social mechanics, once again, I am 100% on board with people. If you play Fire Emblem for that, I completely understand why you're upset that it's pared back, that it's not quite as good as some of the other ones. You combine that with the story stuff that we talked about, some of the story issues. I think that, hey, the story's okay. It's straight up. It's obviously not as good as Fire Emblem Three Houses or some of the previous Fire Emblem games. I think that the gameplay is so much better here, and what they've done kind of makes up for it completely, because at the end of the day, that's what Fire Emblem to me is about. It's about the superb crafted strategy RPG gameplay with obviously fantastic stories, and maybe this one doesn't quite live up to it in all of those areas, although I'm enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying some of the funny stuff with the wake up animations and stuff like that, and some of the other things that they put in there. I actually don't mind the fact that they kind of say, hey, let's focus on the combat for this one and not spend all day talking to people and all of that, especially when it comes to multiple playthroughs, because I got tired of that in Fire Emblem Three Houses and some of the previous Fire Emblem games. So I completely understand that when it comes to both sides of the fence with Fire Emblem fans out there. But once again, I think that the gameplay is just so good here. It does make up for that in many, many different ways, but 100% understand for people who are missing that and say like, oh man, I wish it was better there. And yeah, it definitely could have been, but man, some of the stuff when it comes to some of the dialogue and the writing can actually be kind of crazy when you look through it. Not going to spoil anything for you guys here, but they're starting to trickle out some videos about certain pairings and certain people talking to certain other people, and it's actually pretty funny to see some of that stuff. And I do see myself going back once again and replaying this more and more, and I think that the more that I play it and I prepare for my full 100+ hour review, because I don't think this game does anything less than like 100 hours for me at the rate that I'm going. I know that it can be beat much faster than that. I think some people have it at like 30 to 40 hours, normal casual playthrough, not really doing grinding or extra missions and stuff like that. But for me, right now at this point, definitely looking like 100+ hour playthrough on the first run hard classic. And then of course, the maddening classic run is absolutely going to happen, which I usually play. I'm just like, I I kind of don't want to play that, but this is the first time that I'm maybe looking forward to a maddening classic run, which has always in Fire Emblem history just been some of the most annoying things ever, as you have to play pretty much perfect to get through a lot of the maps, and sometimes those percentages that they lay out there, man, you feel like it's rigged against you. Heck, even on hard, there was a time that I missed multiple times with 95%, and there wasn't any multipliers or bonuses against the other enemy or anything like that. I just missed. I didn't capture it, but still, it was pretty lame. But either way, I'm still having a ton of fun going through and playing it. Percentages on my favor or not at all times. And there's times when they hit me, it's like 60% or 20%, sometimes super low percents, not even 60, like 20 to 30%, and they hit me. And I'm just like, how? How are you hitting me with 20%, 30%? I know that there's a chance, but still, my 20% and 30%, if I ever have low ranges like that, always miss. So yeah, hard mode is being hard mode in Fire Emblem. It's rigged, I tell you, but it's a lot of fun. It's still tons of fun, and I see myself just continuing to play and play whenever I get the opportunity. And of course, I will make more content on Fire Emblem. If you have not seen my Fire Emblem Engage Beginner tips video, please go make sure you check it out. In this video, I talk about bond rings and the tutorial for that. I also discuss battle prep, inventory, a lot of things to get you set up to be successful in Fire Emblem Engage and to really enjoy and get ready for the combat and to know what's going on. So if you haven't seen that yet, link in the description, and of course it'll be up on the page here as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace out.